Mrs. Adeola Kingsley James, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me
Just
again.
before he rudely interrupted my train of thought, I was going to say, okay, trauma. There are different types of trauma. There are different triggers. What does all that grammar mean? Well, we've got you in here. So let's start with what is trauma?
So I think I'll just give you what borderline or, I think trauma is something or anything that happens to anybody that leaves an emotional imprint. Most times is negative. And so the thing has happened and then we make it mean something. And that then is registered in our subconscious mind, which shows up consciously, and is also registered in our bodies as well. Sometimes we don't even know that that thing has caused the pain, because sometimes it's not even directly at us. It could be that we saw someone else, something happened to someone else, but we make it mean something, and then we carry that meaning continuously.
In giving that definition, you said something, we don't even know that it is something that caused that pain.
It is painful.
You used the word pain.
Yes.
So trauma, pain.
Yes.
They go together, do they?
Yes, they do. It's a painful experience. And, when people say, okay, so what can cause, anything can.
But there's something that you said here that I think I want to help. So first you said at some point, you said trauma it has a bit of pain about it. Then you also talked about the fact that it is mostly negative, suggesting that there's a likelihood that there could be some positivity to it. You may want to speak to that as well. But so maybe you want to address that one. When you say mostly negative, can there be positive trauma?
Well, I say mostly because, not everything is 100%. That's why I said mostly. But majorly, it's from a painful experience that happened to us.
Okay. Now, what types are there? Because, okay, maybe I should ask you before going there. Is it possible for people to be traumatized and not know it?
Yes, it is. Because we didn't learn so many things, right? And it's not our fault, neither is it the fault of anybody who has taught us. But if you have triggers, it's come from somewhere, especially negative triggers. And so you might not know, you hear people say, this is just who I am, but it isn't. Right? It is something that has happened to you that you have registered in your, like I said, your subconscious mind, that is making you show up the way you are showing up. Because once again, I always go back to the formative years between the ages of 0 and 7. I'll say there are almost about 8 developmental stages, but I only focus on the first 4, which is your infancy, your toddler stage, your preschool, and your school years, early school years. So that's between 0 and maybe about 8. Right? So many things has happened to you from when you were a baby till when you were 9 that you don't really understand or you don't know has happened until it starts to play out later in your life. Now, of course, some people, trauma doesn't necessarily start from there. Some people, they went to war and then they have PTSD after that, right? So it will be different things at different times that could cause that painful experience, because once again, it's the meaning that you give to it that makes it painful.
Okay, I'm a little lost. Because the issues around, okay, I saw a movie many years ago. The movie is titled The Cell. It featured Jennifer Lopez. Now, one of the things that made that movie very resonant with me every time is that in that movie, they had a serial killer. Now, this guy went everywhere to kill. So when they wanted to, now this criminal had someone stored up somewhere,
right,
whose clock was ticking, and they wanted to rescue the fellow. Now, the kidnapper had become, what's the word now, immobile, unable to move anymore. The only way they can get to that person whose clock was ticking was through the mind of the kidnapper, the criminal, the serial killer. So they went into into his mind by some technology was in the 90s, and they saw a little child dodging.
Right.
Is that kind of thing, it keeps coming to mind, because sometimes I feel like a few of us, we have that baby somewhere, almost always hiding, but we don't even know that, this child is there. So, are there occasions in our human lives, whether as adults or as mothers, grandmothers, young people and all, where our situation gets us to the point that we know these things exist, but we don't know the point where they come from? This fellow, for instance, was traumatized, created a kind of, I don't know, what do we call it now? Some kind of image in the head. So is that kind of thing real in real life with some people, from the experiences that you know about how people live their lives?
I believe so. Because like I said, between the ages of 0 and 7, most of the things that happen to us we're formed 85%. Now, that guy definitely, I used to be so judgmental before, Ayo. I would hear things and I immediately just jump into conclusions that this person is that. But because of the knowledge I now have, the first thing I ask is, how did you grow up? Any client I speak to, they can come out saying, oh, I'm married to a narcissist, or I'm married to a this, or my this is that, whatever case they come up with. My first question is, tell me about your upbringing between the ages of 0 and 10. Tell me. And immediately you can hear the problem. Immediately. Now, they don't know, because, what you don't know, you don't know, right? And the truth also is that hurt people, but hurt people hurt. So I'll share, I wrote down a few things. I'll share a couple of things that if you have codependency issues, then it's a traumatic response. If you are very needy.
Codependency.
Yes.
What's that?
When you're always dependent on other people, you want people to keep looking at you and telling you you're great, validating you. That means as a child, you didn't get it. And so now in your adult child, because you're still a child, you have just grown up, that child still exists, and that's why they saw that child running away in his mind, because it's the child that is acting out in the adult body. The child never grew up. The child never got its needs met. And so you have offender behavior, when you behave, you behave badly to other people because that's how they treated you, or you behave badly to yourself because you now do exactly what was done to you. You have narcissistic behaviors where you want to be admired all the time. You want people to keep looking at you and telling you how great you are. Everything is about you. Somebody tells you, oh, you did this to me, and they find a way of turning it back to you being the problem and they being the best one. You have, hold on, trust issues. Some people tell you, I will never trust anybody again. It's a trauma response. I remember when I was put in a particular school between SS1 and SS3. And I stayed in a relative's house, and I hated my experience there. Hated with a capital H-A-T-E-D. I was molested there as well. Different things happened to me, right? Till now, I've blocked out the complete experience of my 3 years there, to the point where I don't even remember the names of the people I went to school with. At all. And that was 3 years of my life. And some people have that. And then some people, you came out of a terrible romantic relationship. You don't want to trust anybody anymore. So all these are trauma responses to things that happen. But when you really, really check it out, you will see that it goes back to when they were children. Father abandoned them, mother was too busy working, father was an alcoholic, mother was on drugs, you had to look after your parents, you had to be there, surrogate wife for your father because your mother was never available, surrogate husband for your mother because your father was never available. Your mother will walk around naked and she thinks it's okay, you're a child, and that creates an imprint in the child. So many things that we think don't matter are doing these things to children, and these children go out into the world to become what? And they carry that pain. You've got to, and you don't know sometimes. You think it's normal, but it's not. You know, I have a list of things, but I don't know how much time.
This is deep.
I don't know how much time I have. Sometimes you're just shouting at somebody.
So, I mean, you see an adult behaving, I don't want to say badly, behaving the way he's behaving.
Like a child.
And it's all because of something that happened to him in his childhood.
Yes.
Maybe when he was 6.
0. Maybe when they were still babies.
Wow.
But so they can't even remember.
You think
because they were babies.
That's what you think. Your body registers everything. Your mind registers everything. I've had clients who in hypnotherapy went back to their mother's wombs and heard that somebody say something about their lives, and that's how they were living it out now. And those people were almost 50 years old.
Wait.
wait.
Excuse me?
I promise you,
your
body keeps scores. They say babies come empty. We don't. We don't. That's why you see some babies jump. You just see them jump. It's what they heard their father and mother shout all the time. So they come anxious. And you don't get it. So it's way deeper than we think it's a joke. These days, when pregnant women come to meet me the first thing I beg them to do is make sure that you're in a place of peace and calm. And why is it? I remember when I was pregnant, I said to my child, if you're a girl, I want you to come out light-skinned like me. You can have all your father's features. I have no problem with it. If you're a boy, I want you to be a dark boy because I don't like yellow men. And my daughter came exactly with what I said. Exactly. To the line on my husband's forehead, she has it. So we're not deaf. Don't forget, you're connected to that baby. So your emotions is connected to that baby's emotions. Everything about you is stuck in that baby. They can hear everything. They have ears.
Okay.
So they come and then they see all these things. We can pretend or we can lie to them that everything is okay, but they see it. And children catch more from unspoken words than even spoken words.
There are no pretenses today.
Wow.
Exposing us to ourselves, no way.
So, how does one deal with trauma?
Okay.
Before you go there, sorry, Alero, what types of trauma are there? Because some people may not even know that whatever it is that they have is because of trauma, or they do is because of trauma.
So I would rather say some of the symptoms, some of the things that if you are consistently anxious, it's a type of trauma. If you're fearful, it's a type of trauma. If you are catastrophizing all the time, if you only see the worst case scenarios, is a kind of trauma. If you're not sleeping well at night and you wake up in a jolt and you're sweating all the time, or your tummy gets tight, or your heart gets tight just because you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, it's a kind of trauma. So you see those guys who come back from war, they have to go through therapy. Otherwise, they wake up in the night, they're angry all the time, they're shouting all the time, they're quickly irritated by everything and everyone. Those are signs of trauma.
How significant is that kind of thing on people's lives?
Oh, you know, your body is the instrument of your mind. So let's even start with what it can do to your physical body. You can have all kinds of diseases with all those things stuck in your body, down to cancer.
Whoa.
Down to it, because your body is if you're happy and excited, most times your body is happy and excited. If you are not, it's the same thing.
And if
It's
you're
the same
hopeful,
thing. If you're hopeful, well, I mean, it depends on how hopeful you are. Because some people they say they are hopeful, but they actually don't believe in what they're saying.
they're actually anxious.
Yes. And so most people are consistently worried about all the things that are happening that they have no control over. And then one day somebody asked me, what is one of your self-care tips? I said, I am anxious about nothing. She said, in Nigeria, as a mother and wife, in Nigeria, as a boss, I said, I worry about nothing because I know there's nothing I can do about tomorrow. I can only deal with now. And my now right now is I'm here and everything is rosy. But people are thinking, oh, my daughter, oh, my son, oh, my husband, oh, my wife, what will we eat? How will we feed? There's nothing you can do about those things. So when people are saying, okay, so what if now something happens? When we get there, we will deal with it.
Now, tell me, we'll still get to Alera's question, but tell me about triggers. Some people say certain words, you just say something to them. Okay, this is a movie, but I saw this movie that is Hancock. Everything was okay, and then at some point, this Will Smith character Hancock was walking away, and someone just used the word, and he just paused with his back to the fellow. And then he said, just face the fellow, says, say that one more time.
And you'll see me, you will see my true color.
So is that a kind of trigger in real life?
So a trigger is something that is already existing inside you. And I tell people this. So someone says something, someone does something, it triggers something that already exists in you. All they just did was put on a light.
So saying it is pulling the trigger.
That's all. Yeah. That's all. So it's not that person. It's the incident that has already happened, that is established in you. There was a time I used to, when I initially got married, when my husband would say certain things in a particular way, I used to wonder why my blood would just be boiling. Meanwhile, in his mind,
perfectly innocent.
But I would be bored. So one day I had to sit down within myself to say, why do I react this way when he says this thing? And what I realized is I was hearing my father in him. And I spent 19 years or 18 years of my life trying to show my father that he's not as wise as he thinks he is. That I am wiser than him. Because I was an absolutely rebellious child. And my father in his mind felt he wanted to break that rebelliousness in me. Because that's what he knew, right? And one of the roles of the rebellious child is to take power off the adult. So you think you're smart, I will show you that we will meet in front. So now I broke, my father that tried to break me couldn't break me, then you. So it was transferred aggression from my father that I couldn't attack to somebody that I felt I could attack.
Somebody your size.
Do you understand what I mean? So that it wasn't anything he said. It wasn't him. It was what I interpreted what he was saying to me and what I connected it to.
Good. So back to Alera's question. Treatment.
Okay. So my treatment, my own treatment personally, was therapy. I did therapy. I had to, and honestly, I don't think anybody can really, really do it on their own.
Rewind.
Therapy.
You did therapy.
Yes.
Meaning that
I submitted myself to a therapist.
As a result of
what I felt like I was showing up as that I didn't like.
Which you considered to be
traumatic.
Trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so because one of the things I didn't feel like was I didn't feel loved as a child. And it's not as if my father told me I don't love you or my mother, but I didn't. I just didn't.
So no
I
matter
didn't
what
feel,
they did, it was
didn't
just
matter.
your own interpretation.
But then guess what? Because you have already established something, things will start to happen that will corroborate what you have already established.
Even if they didn't, but in your mind,
yes,
they did.
Exactly. So what started happening was, okay, because I was a rebellious child, they would send me away. At a point, like I said...
It's because they don't love me that they've sent me away.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, everybody is here. I'm the only one that they have sent away, so they don't love me.
Yeah.
I remember one instance, my aunt told my parents a lie, and nobody asked me if it was true or not. They believed her. And so things kept on happening for me to say, it's true. They don't love me.
They don't love me.
Yeah. So that story continued, and then I became a people pleaser because I wanted people to like me.
Validation.
Exactly. I wanted people, the things that I didn't get from my parents, I wanted to get it from people. But then you start to look for love in all the wrong places. And so when you find yourself dating the same kind of people and they keep hurting you, it's not them. It's something in you that is attracting them. So when I found myself in that place of pain, and in fact, it was almost like the worst, I think everything just came crumbling down for me, you know, at the same time. And the only thing that gave me hope at the point was maybe my daughter. So I decided to go for therapy. And so that was the first thing that I did to make me even understand why I felt unloved.
Okay.
You know, this word trauma and therapy first became rife in this country, if I'm not mistaken, when the Chibok girls happened. And a few of them were able to run away. And there was talk about, oh, they have to go for therapy.
For sure.
Oh, they have to go for therapy. And we began to use that word like every day. So what kind of therapy does a child who was kidnapped in the middle of the night, a 13, 14-year-old girl who's kidnapped in the night, probably saw hell in the bush with her kidnappers. What kind of things do you say to a child like that as her therapist?
So I think the first thing is to ask the child what they made of that entire scenario. And I really cannot tell you in 100%, oh, this is what you should do, or this is what you should do. First of all, they have been through a painful situation. So there'll be some grief and all of that in there. So you've got to deploy different tools, several tools to help that child. I mean, if they worked with me, I would definitely do hypnotherapy and change the scenario completely for that child so that the child will be empowered to know that there was nothing they could do about that situation. Now there's something you can do about where you are now. And then I'll empower that child, and then that incident will stop being a disadvantage to that child. I will teach the child how to find at least one good thing that came out of there. Because yes, we don't like challenges, but every challenge has at least one good thing.
Can hypnosis cause catharsis?
I don't do hypnosis, I do hypnotherapy.
What's the difference?
There's a difference. It's a kind of therapy, and it's with me going back to the root cause of the problem and helping you see it and understand it and change it around.
Are they?
You're awake. Your eyes are closed, but you're very, very present. You know exactly. If I stop talking, you open your eyes and say, I didn't hear you. I do it even online. I don't even need to see you physically. So if the internet cuts off, you would open your eyes. So you're very, very present.
But
in fact, maybe more
different.
present.
But hypnosis is different.
I don't know. I don't do that.
Okay.
I can't talk about something I don't know.
Okay. Now, back to the treatment that she asked about. You said that the issue is therapy.
Yes. There are a couple of other things if you don't want to go and see a therapist.
Exactly. So take us through that.
I think also just being present. You know, there's a tool that I teach people, writing a letter with both your hands, your dominant and non-dominant hand. There's something that it does to your left and right brain, but I'm not even going to go into that. Writing the incident, asking yourself how you feel, what you need, what you want with my dominant hand is my right hand, and then writing the answer with my left hand. So it's almost like myself and my inner child connecting at some point.
Okay.
That's if you, but then how many people really are that, are that deep enough to want to do such?
Okay.
I tell people also exercise helps, what you eat also helps, because really what you're doing is trying to change your state.
This I think we're going to have part 2.
As usual.
No, this one will have part 2. Because even this trauma discussion is traumatizing me.
May you not be traumatized.
Amen. So, we have learned a number of things today.
Yeah.
The fetus can hear what is happening outside.
Yeah.
So beware how you behave when you're pregnant. And beware what you say or what is said around you when you're pregnant.
You heard?
It heard. Because you don't even know whether it's a he or a she yet. But it is listening. It's in there and it's paying attention. And guess what? It might affect its life eventually. Whoa.
Yep.
That is deep. Adeola Kingsley James, thank you for coming to shock us into reality.
That wasn't my
this morning. Well, you did. Because I don't know about you, but I'm hearing this for the first time, that fetuses can hear you. Thank you very much for coming. We need to bring you back to give us some more revelations